21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
We moved to the Bay Area, to Silicon Valley back in 1998. And that was right before the tech bubble burst. I was recruited to join a tech startup. That company at the time, and I was part of the management team, we raised $96 million. I was the vice president. We were working with Fortune 500, had an amazing product, infrastructure product. Unfortunately, it was ahead of its time. So we started to, hire a lot of people to enhance the product. I think I hired 50 people, 50 that is, over like a 3-month period. A lot of talent, amazing talent. We attracted top venture capitalists. Everybody at the time was negotiating big salaries and a lot of stock options. I had hundreds of thousands of stock options, but unfortunately, no buyers. So we ran out of money. I was laid off. Sort of went from the highs of the high, the highs of the high to the lows of the low. It was a very, very difficult moment. It was a very difficult period in my life. One day you are a VP in Silicon Valley and this amazing building and meeting with C-level from Fortune 500, and another day you're out of the job. So one day you're meeting with venture capitalists and you're raising money and you're meeting with C-level from Fortune 500, and the next day you're out of the job. So it was really difficult. I remember when the CEO walked into my office, and by that time we had a new CEO, and he said, "Hey, Feras, tomorrow we have some layoffs." And I had a sense that that would happen, but I didn't think I would be impacted because I started early with the startup, built a team. And then he said, "Feras, you're part of the layoff. You're impacted." I mean, Martin, I don't know what to tell you, but it was my heart was beating very fast, my stomach dropping, all these thoughts going through my mind. It couldn't have been me. Why is it me? What did I do wrong? My family, all of that. That was in the afternoon. I went home and my wife was surprised that I came home early. In those days, working in a startup, I was working 12 hours a day. At times I slept in the office. No kidding. So it was a pretty hardcore startup, a lot of work, a lot of hours. So when this layoff took place, went back home, spoke with my wife. She's amazing. We've been married for a long time. And at the time she was very supportive. Kind of collected my thoughts, and then it took me a little bit of time to recover. But then you have to do what you have to do. Life throws a lot of things at you. That was a very tough moment, few days, few weeks, and then went back at it. So that's how I got into entrepreneurship. I started to look for a job for a couple of months. I didn't come across anything. It was a really bad market at the time, right after the bubble burst, as I said earlier. So it wasn't easy to find a job. So a friend of mine was thinking of starting a business. I said, "Hey, I'm looking to do something. I have time." He had a little bit less time, but he had some money. So we put together our resources and kicked off our first business. So that is the story of how I got into entrepreneurship. In a way, I was forced into it. I was always in the back of my mind, I always wanted to do something on my own, but life was too comfortable and I never took that leap on my own till I had to. in the Valley, I still live in Silicon Valley. So being laid off is sort of like a badge that you have. If you haven't been laid off, what's wrong? You're not working in a startup. You're not maybe taking enough risk. But it was difficult. You had all these amazing ideas, all these amazing companies. I remember Webvan, way ahead of its time, where they will deliver food to your house. This is 2003, so way before mobile. And a lot of people put their blood, sweat, and tears into these companies. But we learn from that experience. And the other part, the financial aspect is also real. So a lot of us got into startups because we want to create something amazing. We want to learn and help and all that. But at the same time, there's a financial upside. Like I said, I had a whole lot of stock options. When I was hiring all these amazing technical folks, everybody was negotiating stock options. So people came into this startup environment because there was a potential of a nice upside. As we joke here, after I got laid off, these stock options are worth nothing. And I think the joke was the toilet paper. So you learn. I think the one lesson, aside from resilience and getting back on your feet, which is what I always remind entrepreneurs, people who are going through a tough time. The other thing is you learn a lot when you work hard, especially early on in your career. You're working really hard, working in a startup. The work ethic, the momentum that's built in a small environment. I think that is important, especially for the younger folks who are just starting. So yeah. I speak with a lot of founders, on the average 1 to 2 founders every week. And this has been probably for over 10 years now. I don't charge for any of this, just a lot of people help me along the way, and that's my way of saying thank you. So I listen and give some advice here and there. And founders struggle in different ways. Sometimes they run out of money. Sometimes they can't do sales. And in the case of a layoff, and I was laid off once, and then being a manager and being an executive over the last 20 years or so, at times, I think a couple of times, I also had 2 or 3 times, I also had to administer a layoff or be part of it. And it's horrible on the receiving end, and people might not realize it's awful on the delivery end as well. If you're the manager and you have to lay off people, there are all these emotions that go through your mind, especially if you work in a smaller company, mid-sized company, or you have a knit team. It is difficult. It is some people don't like to refer to work as family, but at the end of the day, you're spending most of your waking hours with your people, with your team members. And I know when I was laid off, until this moment, these thoughts, I don't know, called trauma, maybe it is. I mean, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but these feelings are real. And sometimes they're negative feelings. They come to your mind and like, was I not worth it? Did I not work hard enough? What did I wrong? What could have I done better? So I wrote a post on LinkedIn last year when there were a lot of layoffs, and it got a whole lot of impressions, and I think one of my top posts. And I said there are 2 hard truths when it comes to layoffs. One is companies at times, they close down an entire department. So sometimes you could be a top performer. You could have gotten an exceptional performance review last quarter, last 6 months, whatever, and you end up being laid off. And on the other side of it, and this is maybe hard and awkward to say, companies do lay off the bottom 20% or the bottom 10% or the bottom 5%. I don't know, but it is a reality. So I think what helped me and what I recommend to founders and others who go through tough time is, after that initial emotional phase, after that initial, like, I don't know what to do, I'm devastated, I mean, mourn for a little bit, that's okay. I cry. I'm an adult man. I'm I'm into archery and hunting, and I'm into martial art. It's crying is good for the soul. You have to let go through those emotions and mourn and feel. Yeah, it's a significant sort of hit in a way. So that's okay, but you can't be in that phase of I'm gonna call it mourning for a long time. After a few days, 2, 3 days, just look around you, do an objective assessment. And I did an entire live stream on layoffs. And one of the things I said is that ask people who know you well and who care about you, and get input from them on maybe what led to, like, learn from that situation. So if you objectively, you could have done better, you could have worked harder, you could have raised your hand, you could have taken on more initiative, you could have learned some new skills. And I did that for me, for myself. And I could have done better things. I had a technical background, but in my role as a director, as a VP, I sort of stayed away from being technical. I think if I had spent more time being technical, I think I would have been saved at that time. But the best thing came out of being laid off. So what I'm saying, to summarize, is it's okay to go through these strong emotions of being maybe rejected, of being maybe that questioning your self-worth, and why you let go through this for a little bit of time. But then at one point you have to do an objective assessment of what else you can do, you can improve on. And then your responsibility, if you have a family, if you have people that you care for. In a way, in my case, I had a family, a wife, 3 children, young children. My wife at that time was taking time off to take care of the kids, and then now she's doing amazingly well on her own. All of that people go through when they're laid off. Yeah, so we started a business. This is 2003, the dawn of online marketing, the dawn of the internet. So we figured we jump right into it. We didn't know a whole lot about web development, web design, online marketing, and most people didn't either. So we were, learning is a big thing, big, high value on my end. So it was with my partner. So we read any book we can get our hands on. We attended training. We did put some time, a whole lot of time and some money into learning about online marketing, about search engine optimization. And we started to offer these services to small businesses. Although my background was in corporate, working with Fortune 500, to sell this new service, we had to learn on small businesses. And that was a big mind shift for me. And I think, again, for entrepreneurs, when you're transitioning, you want to leverage the skills that you have, hard skills and soft skills, but you also have to pivot. Maybe you're going from a Fortune 500, like in my case, to selling to small businesses. So you have to be able to adjust and learn how to speak to this new audience. So learning online marketing, learning about web design, we ended up actually building a company, an offshore company. That was one of the ventures I got into, to provide back-end services, web development services, web design, web development to companies in the US. So that was sort of a parallel track. But for the company that we started, we evolved and we specialized into analytics. That came in several years later. So that niching down and focusing on one area served us really well. Things were developing really fast at the time, and we stumbled upon this thing called analytics. And it was for the first time you can show a business owner that they spent $100 or $1,000 on marketing, and you can show them something tangible. I got you 1,000 visitors to your website, or 75% of your people opened the email. So that was very concrete in a way. And business owners loved it, and we fell in love with it as well. And again, we went and we scoured the internet. We got every book we can get our hands on and learned a lot about this and started to specialize. We actually, and that was another lesson I learned that at time you have to let go of sort of the past of things that maybe are not maybe too competitive or they don't have a good margin or you're just maybe sick and tired of, and then pivot into something that is more profitable, something maybe you enjoy more. And analytics was the case for us. So we gradually we actually handed off our customers to competitors or friends in the industry. So all the web design, web development, search engine optimization, pay-per-click, all these customers, we very gently, very professionally, very nicely, we handed them over to other folks gradually over maybe a period of about a year. And we focused on analytics, became a Google certified partner, one of maybe 200, globally. And then fast forward to 2016, that's when we had mastered that domain and we became one of the top partners across the globe. And that's when we published our first book then, Google Analytics Breakthrough by Wiley. Eventually, we sold 15,000 units of it, and it was translated to language, English, Korean, and Chinese. And it actually it was an amazing milestone in my professional career to be an author, co-author, and to really share what we've learned and what we've mastered with the rest of the community. So what I'm focusing on now, and since the beginning of last year, is building a media company. It's called Startup with Feras, where I share the lessons I've learned, the scars, the wounds that I acquired over the years. I want the new generation of founders to avoid. And we have two channels where we have two channels where we share this content. We have a YouTube channel called Startup with Feras, Feras spelled Feras, and also our website, startupwithferas.com. So we produce content for two segments of business folks. One is those who have an idea and they want to start a business, but they haven't started, and those who've started and they're struggling, primarily in the services and consulting space. So if you have an idea, you want to have that, we have content for that. If you want to write a business plan, if you're struggling in marketing, if you're struggling in sales, visit the YouTube channel, visit the website, and you'll find hopefully some amazing content that will help you along your way. We are in this phase of our business. We are building a community. We get a lot of questions. We answer. We have a weekly live stream every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we cover a business topic related to entrepreneurship. And then we answer the questions we get from the community. So subscribe to that channel, like the videos. Hopefully, if you're finding the content helpful. And then on the website, we have the Daily Advisor, a weekly newsletter, a daily, and there's a weekly version where we share, again, best practices, tips, strategies on all things entrepreneurship related. And we do have, last thing is, this is, again, part of me saying thank you back to those who have helped me over the years. We have 2 slots a week, first come, first serve basis, where I just give you my time, no charge, no gimmicks, no pitching. It's just I'm there to hear you out, maybe point you in the right direction, share a resource or two. So you can sign up with a Ask Feras session on the website as well. I remember one entrepreneur. He's working in Silicon Valley. He is in tech, been around for about 10 years now in this one company, very, very established. And he wants to do something on his own. So we went out for a coffee, and he has like 3-4 ideas. And he's actually ready to take an unpaid leave for 3 or 4 months to focus on his businesses. So he wants to do tech consulting, his professional background. He wants to also do some sort of remodeling service. And then he also wants to do a cafe. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to mention the name to protect the innocent here. Listen to him. He's very passionate. I mean, he knows, he's been around for 10 years in Silicon Valley. He knows about startups. So my advice to him was to focus. And this is, I think, common with many aspiring entrepreneurs. I think 34% of Americans, they have thought of multiple ideas to start a business. I think 60% of them, of us here, we thought of doing a business. Unfortunately, 92% do not pursue those ideas. So my advice to this segment of the population who want to start a business is it's okay to brainstorm. It's okay to bounce off different ideas. But at one point in time, you got to focus on one and then vet the heck out of that idea. So a year later, met that same entrepreneur, and I was delighted to hear that he has honed in a few skills he needed, and he ended up working in this services/consulting space he wants to work in, and has found some co-founders, actually a couple of co-founders to work with him. And he's really happy that he made that decision to focus on one idea. So I'm not saying my advice is always spot on, but I was really delighted to hear that I helped an entrepreneur focus on one thing and then get some traction with it. One thing that I find entrepreneurs underutilize is their network. I think Reid Hoffman, in his book, The Startup of You, he mentioned your soft skills, your hard skills are important. Your network is as important. So in my case, being on boards, being around there at conferences, speaking, publishing a book, just being out there, it is my network. I do provide value to the network. I help others. I reciprocate. At the same time, I also reach out when I need help. And this is my advice to entrepreneurs: is leverage your network. If you happen to sit on a volunteer in a nonprofit, do it for the cause. At the same time, you'll meet people and they'll be part of your supporting network. If you are maybe helping others, if you are, if your previous jobs, your ex-colleagues, hopefully you've left a positive impression on them, and those could be of help when you are either shifting careers or when you are starting a new business. Do not feel shy about reaching out to people. And again, be generous. When people reach out to you, also reciprocate and also offer help others. And the universe works in amazing ways, and help will come your way as well. So we're covering a lot of topics about entrepreneurship. If you want to have access to these resources, again, go to startupwithferas.com, and Feras is spelled Feras, and go to the channel, the YouTube channel, Startup with Feras. And as I said, if you subscribe, you won't miss out on the videos that we produce. We do short form, we do long form, and we have this live stream every Wednesday where we answer your questions. So join us on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be more than happy to have a follow-up. And you can subscribe to our newsletter, The Daily Advisor, to get the tips and strategies that will help you get started if you haven't started, and then if you started, to grow and build your business to 7 or 8 figures.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries. and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.